Hey everyone, how's it going? It's that nerd Ryan here, and today we are going to be doing the Canon versus Legends podcast, or for the live version of this, perhaps just half of it. Um, if you are watching this on, whoops, that was my camera for the live version. But if you're watching this on the date of the 29th, you guys actually missed the live day. So we are actually recording on Instagram Live for this podcast, which is basically Canon versus Legends. In this, we are talking about Grand Admiral Thrawn. I'm going to be covering the Canon version. Ricardo will be covering the Legends version, which might be at a later date, as we said. So I am just going to cover the basis, and then I'm going to hopefully have somebody respond on here talking about what they think about the canon version of Thrawn. Maybe we'll get Ricardo on there by then. Other than that, it'll be great just to talk about it. So I'm going to do some quick coverage just talking about who Thrawn is as a character. So something that is consistent in this is both Thrawn both Canon and Legends versions of Thrawn work for the Empire, is part of the Chiss race, and is a Grand Admiral. The time periods of when he's introduced are sort of different, and basically, from what I understand, his personality is different. So we're going to be talking about, for Canon, the 5 books and Rebels that he is present in, along with the quick mention of him in The Mandalorian. So I am going to set the phone down for the live version of the podcast just because I feel like I need both hands for this. So yeah, let's talk about it. So Thrawn is introduced in Season 3 of Rebels in basically real-life chronological order. And he is in Season 3 and Season 4. He is also in the books Thrawn Treason, which is the 3rd book in that, and Thrawn Alliances, which is the 2nd book in that series. He is also prominent in Thrawn Ascendancy, which is the current book series that's going on, which is basically Thrawn Ascendancy Rising Storm and Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good. I did just review the book. It should be on there from 2 weeks ago for if you were watching this on Tuesday. Otherwise, it's been up since yesterday, or 2 days ago from this live stream. So basically, in this, Thrawn is a more of a hero figure, even when he's working for the Empire. He's viewed as a hero, and we got Ricardo in here. So Ricardo, just request to join and we'll jump on. Just started like 2 minutes ago, so we're good. But yeah, so anyways, he's more shown as a hero, especially during the Thrawn Ascendancy series. And actually, there is kind of a bipolar version of Thrawn when it comes to himself. And here we got Ricardo on here now, so he'll be popping on in hopefully a second. It looks like I did. There we go. Hey man, sorry, we're just getting ready to start talking. So I just basically so far I covered. I'm gonna put you by the mic so that way when we post this, people can hear you pretty good. So yeah. Anyways, we kind of just I was talking about the 5 books that he's in, the 2 seasons of Rebels, and then the offhand mention in Mandalorian, as well as Aftermath. Technically, he had a mention. So one thing that I know is consistent between Canon and Legends for him is he's a master strategist, phenomenal strategist, really. Both Chiss and both a Grand Admiral in the Empire. But I feel that there is a bipolar dichotomy of him in canon, where when he's mentioned in Rebels or shown in Rebels, he's definitely an evil guy. I mean, he's willing to bomb Lothal just to get Ezra. And we have him in the books where he is even stated to saying, I will not sacrifice 300 lives for a mission or something along those lines, where he's basically played out as a hero. I mean, yes, it's a 20-year difference at that point, but somebody that has a moral standing like that, I don't think would change over 20 years of just, oh, I care about every single life, to, okay, let's just bomb random people for one person. Although there is understanding in that Thrawn is being very pressured because he did just basically commit treason by the Empire, or to the Empire, and he's kind of on his last limb in that sense, where he has to prove that he could capture Phoenix Squadron, otherwise he will be put to death by the Emperor, basically, just because he kind of stabbed everybody in the back. But he, even when they first mentioned Thrawn, like something that he did, which was I think it was a bombing on Lothal or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But when they were saying how he did that, and it actually turned it out being Price being the one that did that. Governor Price, who's the governor of Lothal. And like a lot of the stuff that Thrawn does in Rebels is either retconned in the books or over glanced in the books just to make him seem like more of a hero. Although we can say that it's through the eyes of Thrawn and through Imperial propaganda in the books, making him look good, while we look at Rebels, which is through Rebel propaganda and through the eyes of the Rebels. Obviously, in real life, when you look at war, each side thinks of themselves as the good guys, so they're going to bolster up those like claims of stuff happening as this person's actually a hero and not this person's a terrible person on our side, and we're going to say how terrible he is. We also get to see him in the Chiss Ascendancy, and he's kind of a reject in it. He his own family, which is the Myth family. I'm not getting into Chiss politics because that'll take 45 minutes just to talk about. But
that's all they are. Is about either it's military politics. That's what they're known for. Like
exactly.
That race is because remember that race, his race, the Chiss, they're the dominant number one power in the unknown regions.
Yep.
And they're like that race itself is like I guess you could say the highest ranking, and it's because of their military geniusness and their political geniuses of how they can outmaneuver people,
right?
Where they can think 10, 20 steps ahead, whether it's military politics.
Exactly.
And the thing is, like you said, the reason he's an outcast in his thing is remember, the Chiss, they're culturally opposed to proactive military strikes.
Exactly. They have to be attacked first before.
Thrawn, since, like you said, in the canon, whereas now this is the difference between canon and legends. Canon, they more portray him as trying to portray him as a good guy.
Yeah.
Whereas legends, they let him stick as pure evil because he had the willingness to use those proactive military strikes, which is what got him exiled from the Chiss, and that's ended up how Palpatine ended up finding him in the unknown regions was because of his exile.
Yep.
And in the legends, even after it was after Return of the Jedi when the Empire supposedly fell when Palpatine, Thrawn was the one that stepped in and took over power at the time and held it together before he ended up getting betrayed. But the thing is, another reason the Empire was still in power somewhat after Return of the Jedi was because he still employed those vicious tactics where he was bombing non-militaristic planets, killing thousands, like that. Like in the legends, they made him just pure evil. Like he didn't care if you even smelt part of the rebel alliance and anything like that. He would just bomb it. He was just slaughtering thousands, bombing non-militaristic planets that had nothing to do with it.
Yep, and see,
and it's that fear of still is what still kept the pieces of the Empire in power, which ended up turning into the First Order from that time.
Mm-hmm. Which they do show that Thrawn is not somebody that follows preemptive or the whole non-preemptive thing in canon. It's more of a slap on the wrist at that point. And like the whole thing with that is he gets results, so that's why most people are fine with it. The only people that aren't are his family. His family head, which, spoiler alert, the main Thurfian becomes the head at the end of the second book. We haven't seen his exile yet in canon, but knowing that the Ascendancy trilogy's ending this year, we'll probably see it at that. But however, it does play off in the first Thrawn book that he actively left the Chiss to find the Empire to fight against the Grisk, which I know in Legends it was the Yuzon Vong and not the Grisk. But in this, they're playing off that the Grisk are a bigger threat, or supposed to be the new Yuzon Vong, basically.
Yeah.
And that Thrawn left on his own accord to bring the Empire in to fight the Grisk. And Thrawn basically kind of found out that the Empire doesn't care about the Chiss Ascendancy because they're lesser people, because they're not human. And stuff like that, which they're still trying, they're kind of doing a ends justify the means version of Thrawn, which I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out with him being mentioned in The Mandalorian and him most likely being the main villain of Ahsoka. If not, he's going to be probably like the Thanos of the Marvel TV show, or the Star Wars TV shows, which I don't know if making him this sympathetic would be such a good idea, because I mean, yeah, they made Thanos a little bit sympathetic, but they didn't make it where it's like, oh, he's literally trying to save his entire race by blowing up an entire planet, or by overtaking Mandalore, if that's what he did. Which I think they're hinting at with The Mandalorian, or he's doing such these terrible things that they keep saying that he's doing in the shows and in the original Thrawn trilogy for canon, because now there's like 3 Thrawn trilogies and 1 Legends. And
I think Thrawn has a better backstory in the sense of detailing his personality, how he thinks and whatnot in canon, because in Legends, the only thing that made them focus on the Legends is how they just focus on his viciousness, on his ruthlessness, on his military strikes.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and just how, because the thing is, in Legends too, he helped Palpatine keep, he was able, because he was from the unknown regions, he was able to tell Palpatine when he found him to get on his side, get it more friendly with him.
Yeah.
All the unknown region, where Alliance rebel bases were starting to get built.
Yeah.
Where hidden Jedi were, because Palpatine was able to keep power in the unknown regions because of Thrawn, because Thrawn knew everything there.
Yep.
But see, the thing is, Legends, they just focus on his viciousness, on how he destroyed some planets, cities and planets to keep the power. But they didn't really develop it. They just focused on that. Whereas I think canon with the books and everything, they actually went in depth on his emotions, his personality, his thought process, what makes him who he is. Whereas Legends is just focused on his ruthlessness. They didn't develop anything with it.
Which, what I find, that you bring that up, I was actually going to talk about part of that. What I found interesting is I don't think they did it in Treason, because I read Treason like 2 years ago. But I think Alliances is the first and only book, I'm about 90% sure, first and only book where we actually read from Thrawn's perspective. And it plays off like Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. It really does. It's like he'll notice small things, and it jumps back from the Clone Wars to present day.
Yeah, but it's his monologue of what he was doing, what his thought process was, why he's doing it. Trying to explain to himself in his mind, this is why I'm doing it. This is the right way to do it. This is why, this is a good way of doing it.
Yep. And you'll notice what he picks up on people. So if I remember right, it takes him almost a chapter just to figure out that Anakin and Darth Vader are the same person, because he literally just goes okay, I noticed that it's like his posture or something is very similar, and his reaction as well is extremely similar to Anakin Skywalker. He must be Anakin Skywalker, sort of thing. And like they do really play him off as a Sherlock Holmes in canon. And if I remember right, I heard that that's what he was originally based off of for Legends by Timothy Zahn, who's the guy who actually writes the books, which is rather interesting. That's what I really like about this character being reintroduced in canon, is he is written by the same person that created him. He's not like they didn't pass him over to a bunch of different writers to try to flesh him out. I mean, yeah, Filoni threw his hat in, and whoever's going to be writing for him for the live-action TV shows, or whoever's going to be portraying him in the live-action TV shows, are going to throw their own little spin on it. But, like, when it comes to the meat of Thrawn, which sounds disgusting, but the meat of Thrawn, it's by literally only the same guy that wrote for him, wrote Heir to the Empire and Last Command and that entire trilogy, which is why I think he stays pretty consistent, but it also feels like because he's written for Thrawn before, he wants to give him this new take of mostly being a anti-hero, in a sense, instead of a vicious villain like he was in Legends. Yeah. So, I think we are going to wrap this up a little early because Thrawn is so similar. Next one's probably going to be a lot longer. Would you be fine with doing the High Republic versus the Old Republic?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, that'll be our next month one. So that one's definitely going to be a lot longer because we got a lot more to cover with the Old Republic.
Oh, geez,
yeah, so any book recommendations for Thrawn on the Legends side?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay.
I mean, because they were all, like I said, it was just similar, just crossovers.
Yeah. I will make a recommendation of the Thrawn Ascendancy. Well, I guess it's not a trilogy yet, but in November it will be a trilogy. But the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy, it does get into that chiss politics that are honestly some of the most confusing things you'll ever hear if you don't read the books. And it shows really, like, it shows a different version of politics than what we're used to in the Galactic Senate or the Galactic Empire or the New Republic, High Republic, whatever. It's a very different take, and it's a very interesting take, and it really makes you think, like, how would this be implied in the real world, sort of thing. So, yeah, that's it. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and remember, if you want to watch this live, make sure you follow me on Instagram or follow Ricardo on Instagram. What's your Instagram name?
I'll post it.
All right, he'll post it. Yeah, if you follow any of us on Instagram and you see the little live notification come up, we're recording this. So make sure you guys jump on for that. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell. Follow all the other social media. It's that Nerd Ryan and Ricardo telling you we're all Jedi Masters on the inside.